excuse me, you've already lost your right to your property. That this is a new definition of public use. Eminent domain, Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, that you must have your property paid for. Just compensation must be paid to you if your property is being taken for what? A public use. What's a public use? A road's a public use. Hey, if I want to build a shopping center with 2 stories of residential on top of that, does that sound like a public use to you that I'm going to own for my private benefit? Does that sound like a public use? Oh, yes, it does. Because that's going to make more sales tax and property tax for the town, and that's a public use. That's how they changed it. I said, gee, too bad they didn't give the Supreme Court justices' houses to somebody to build something else there. They might have appreciated that being a public use. So there's communitarianism. It's for the greater good. It's for the common good. It is the ends justify the means. That is the new law of the United States of America. Regional public-private partnerships. You're seeing it all over the place with public housing, low-income housing. That's being paid for, subsidized with your property tax dollars. Low-income housing, a full low-income housing property development does not pay property tax. That means they're using services and they are not paying for those services. All the property that gets transferred out of private hands does not pay into your general fund, does not support your police and fire, does not support your roads, does not support your parks, does not support your services. You fighting about pensions here? You fighting about how many pensions, how the pensions are getting paid to your police and fire and there's no more money left in your general fund? That's why. Smart growth. There's EPA challenge grants for that. They use federal, state, and local tax dollars, and they build a hardscape for warehousing human beings for Agenda 21, and they are designed to fail. Everything that has happened to your economy was meant to happen. This is Agenda 21. The loss of economic independence, your inability to support yourselves, the loss of food security, of food independence. It must be my body. I have this effect. Okay. Now, hey, you gotta keep your sense of humor, right? That's the green mask. Okay? That is the green mask. That's a kind of a scary picture on the front of my book, and I love it. It's fabulous. It's beautiful. And the first version of this was so scary, I said, no, you can't do that. People are going to think we can't win this thing. It can't be that scary. So it is a green mask. The green mask is the environmental movement. Now, I, like everybody else, thought I was an environmentalist. I thought we recycle. My partner Kay built a whole entire house out of recycled materials. You know, we do what we're supposed to do. You guys are stewards of the land, you're stewards of your water, you want to maintain your, used to be when we were kids, we'd throw a pop bottle out the window. I never did that, but people used to do stuff like that. You don't do that anymore. We're more conscious, right? We want to preserve our natural environment. That is part of our charge on the planet as contributors to the world and the universe and home, all of that. Okay, it's great. We want to do that, but not at the loss of our civil rights. And that is what we're seeing here. The mask, the green mask tells you that you're going to have, you're going to have public transportation, you're going to have affordable housing, you're going to have a reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. What you get is a housing glut, a destabilized economy, more poor and dependent people. You get transients. You get people who are not making community. Instead of strong communities, you get communities that are totally destroyed and torn apart. And I know this for a fact because, yes, I fought a huge redevelopment project, an 1,100-acre redevelopment project to the center of my city in Santa Rosa, California. My partner and I own some property there. I got elected to the oversight committee for it was a 1,300-acre project. That's huge, huge. You went from the bottom of the city all the way to the top. The whole center of the city was blighted. I said, wow, I don't know, it doesn't look blighted to me, but I guess these guys know what they're doing. So I got elected to the committee, and I requested the documents for my city. And they said, no, we're not giving you the documents. You want those documents? You're going to have to pay. I said, are you kidding me? I'm on the committee. Oh, no, we're not going to give those to you. Well, nobody else on the committee got them, but I did. We got them. They were a coffee table book for about 4 years. The first thing we saw was that they were fraudulent. The city had hired a consultant. It seems like cities can't do anything themselves anymore, right? What the hell are all those people doing for a living? They always hire a consultant, right? So they hired the consultants. They paid them a few $100,000 to find blight. They're actually known as a hit firm that can find blight anywhere. Kaiser Marston, just in case you plan to sue me, I just said that, and it's the truth, you know. It's being filmed, so I just want to make sure you see my face perfectly when I say that. So yes, they found blight, of course, big surprise. And we looked at that, we said, hey, you know, they're saying that these properties have code enforcement violations on them. Those old code violations got closed 5 years ago. And those vacant lots, they say are vacant, which, you know, of course, if you've got a lot of vacant lots in your town, it means that nobody's making any investments. It's blighted. We have to give funds, our property tax funds, for the next 30 years to people to encourage them to invest in this area. Well, those vacant lots actually were middle school playgrounds, they were parks, they had buildings on them that had been there for 5 years, they were parking lots for shopping centers. It was fraudulent. Well, I went to the city and I said, excuse me, did you guys know that, you know, your books are fraudulent? They were like, let's get her off that committee. Let's see what we can do to get rid of her. And we fought it out. It's a long story. I won't go into it, but anyway, we fought it out. We tried to get this on the ballot. Couldn't get enough signatures. We needed like 9,000 signatures in 3 weeks. Couldn't do it. Then we had to sue. They kicked me off the committee. They got and my property was out. Yay! We got like 235 acres out of that project area, and they thought they were done with me. But we said, no, you know what? We're not going to abandon all our friends who are in this fight. 10,000 people lived and worked in that area, and we stayed in that fight. And I raised $500,000 in pro bono and donations, and we sued. We lost in Superior Court, and then we lost again on appeal. There's your justice system for you. And my dad's actually an attorney. He said, you know what? I said, Daddy, things aren't fair. He said, you know what? Fair is what comes to town at the end of the summer. So that was the truth, too. So that's how it went. But we stopped this huge redevelopment project for 3 years, and during that period of time, the economy crashed, and that project is not happening. And they still have the power of eminent domain for another 7 or so years. Of course, they can vote it for themselves again under redevelopment. And you know how that works, is they take your property tax dollars for 30 years, they divert them into the pockets of the redevelopment agency, who can then give money to their cronies. And this, no, I did not go off topic, is Agenda 21. It is a funding mechanism for Agenda 21. Now, other funding mechanisms are like EPA grants, right? Challenge grants. Oh, well, you're getting money from the feds, but guess what? You better put up money too. And hey, how come my city and my county don't have any money? Because they're in these challenge grants, right? And they're designed to fail. So, here's something that's great. Wildlands. I know you can't wait to hear about this because this is perfect for you guys. What can I say? We're in deep trouble here. Wild animals need linkages and corridors. they have to be able to get to other wild animals. And you're in the way. And your property rights are in the way. And we have to deal with that. So we're going to destroy dams. We're not going to build reservoirs, and we are going to release wild animals into the wild. Ted Turner owns a whole bunch of property. I think he owns half of Montana or something. He's releasing wild carnivores, wolves and bears into the wild. Of course, they stay right at the edge of his property.
Sure.
So, what are they doing? If you're in a rural area and you're not on an island, well, if you are on an island, maybe they're going to restrict your berry service. How easy is it going to be to get to your property? You think that's going to impact your property values if you can't get to your property? Or you can't use your property? How about a 200-foot buffer zone? How about that? How's that feel? Okay, biotic resource, scenic easements, streamside threshold, rural corridor, inland corridor, baylands corridor. I should make a little song of this, you know. Regulatory takings. All right, now, what does that mean? This is too good. I have to read this to you. Basically, this is out of Growing Smart. Your legislative guidebook, your box, your blueprint that your government got its laws out of from the United Nations. Oh, this is too good. It says, this is from the executive summary. I got this because I'm an executive. It says, part of the process involves building consensus, educating targeted audiences about the value and benefits of planning and smart growth, and uncovering myths used by opponents to misconstrue smart growth are necessary. Uncovering myths. You know, they got this cool jargon thing, and basically whatever they say, you can just flip it. It's the opposite. It's so convenient. It really doesn't take long to start thinking upside down like this whenever you read their stuff. You know, so basically what they want to do is smear, attack, and malign anyone who's telling the truth, which I have had personal experience with. I've had this happen to me in newspaper articles and magazine articles and radio. You know, people will attack you when you're telling the truth, especially about this. That's why I want you guys to get on board, because the more of us there are who are telling the truth and talking about the truth, the deeper these people have to hide. But right now they're out in the open with their uncovering myths used by opponents to misconstrue smart growth. That's me and you. Okay, but here's the big one. This is the big one. Equally important is challenging interests that seek to pass new legislation, expanding the activities that qualify as regulatory takings, and therefore require compensation under the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Translation? Translation? If you're a person, a human being, a citizen of the United States of America, and you wish to stand up and say, hey, you can't take my property without paying for it. It's under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution that I must be justly compensated for takings of my property. Your government is instructed to challenge the interests. That's you. You're the special interest group. The interests that want to pass legislation that protects our private property rights. You know, I had the shock of my life. I work for the government. They pay my paycheck every month. And I'm glad for that. And I give good service to the people of the state of California and to the country that I live in. But I never thought that my own government was my enemy until I really got involved with the fight against redevelopment and the fight against Agenda 21. And it's not my Constitution I fight, it is the people who misrepresent my nation and who have taken over my country. So with the Wildlands Project, you've got Yellowstone to Yukon,